whoever is running may very well be running against somebody who has not the slightest respect for our norms, our traditions, our institutions, civility, dignity, decency in public life, where you can say anything that you want to from the highest perch of power in this land.
Beto O'Rourke may have lost his Senate race against Rafael Ted Cruz in Texas, and he's yet to declare whether he's running for president. He's totally running for president. But Beto mania shows no signs of slowing down. He makes a strong showing in the first poll of Iowa caucus voters for the 2020 presidential race. When Iowa Democrats were asked which potential candidate would be their first choice for president, former President Joe Biden came out on top, followed by Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, with Beto rounding out the top three as the only other potential candidate in double digits. Joining me now to discuss is Beth Fouhy, senior political editor for MSNBC, and MSNBC contributors Jason Johnson and EJ Dionne, who's also co-author of One Nation After Trump. All right, Beth, I'm going to start with you here at the table. You've been to Iowa. You've seen Beto mania up close. How real is it?
It's real. People are really excited about Beto, and that's the key to his appeal. People want to be inspired. They want to be excited. We've had too many in the past sort of eat your peas candidates. Hillary Clinton was sort of an eat your peas candidate. Mitt Romney in 2012 was an eat your peas candidate. People want to feel inspired, excited, and that's what they're getting from Beto. But here's the thing, Joy. Beto has not done any outreach in Iowa at all. He's getting people calling him, asking him to come. Meanwhile, other candidates, the sort of that top tier that we're looking at, sort of the Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, they are intensively in talks with people in Iowa trying to develop a staff, develop a network. Beto is really holding back. He's sort of in the position where he's waiting to be sort of wooed into this race rather than steamrollering in amongst all these other candidates. And
just really quickly to stay with you, so in 2006, just for context, because a lot of this is name ID. So in 2006, John Edwards topped this same Iowa poll, followed by Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and Tom Vilsack. Then in 2018, you've got, again, name ID. Joe Biden obviously has 100% name ID. He's at the top. Bernie Sanders, a high name ID, then Beto, who's the only person who gets in double digits, right? And then you've got Elizabeth Warren. What about, it strikes me that these are all white candidates. What happened to the candidates of color? How are Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, those candidates doing in Iowa?
Julian Castro. There's a real desire to have a person of color, obviously, on the ticket. And Kamala Harris, my reporting out of Iowa and seeing her there, people are excited about her, sort of in theory. They're waiting to sort of have it come to be reality, that she's kind of got the it factor that people are looking for. Cory Booker has been all over the place. He's been in Iowa. He's been down in South Carolina. He was in New Hampshire last week speaking to the state Democratic dinner. He's very, very actively in this fight, even though he's not officially declared. He's done a lot of really good work sort of cultivating grassroots in all of these places. But again, I think people are still waiting to see whether he's got the factor to make people really excited and to unify around him, which is the thing that Beto seems to have more than anyone else.
And that momentum, it matters. If you're being talked about and buzzed about, that actually does help you.
It does.
It's an existential thing that you really can't put your finger on. Jason Johnson, the polling that we have here, do you think that the person to defeat Donald Trump will be more of a political newcomer as he was, or more of a seasoned political hand? This is the CNN Des Moines Register poll. 36% say they think it'll be a newcomer. 49% say a seasoned hand. 15% say not sure. I'm not sure what that means, but it sounds like it means it would be helpful to Biden. But you have said on this Beto, Biden, newcomer, non-newcomer thing, you have a very definitive take on this, in which you said nobody should be talking about Beto and Gillum in 2020 until we understand Stacey Abrams in 2018. And she's a name that is not on that poll. Your thoughts?
Yes, because, look, if you look at what Stacey Abrams actually accomplished in Georgia, and look, Beto is very talented, Andrew Gillum is very talented, but what she accomplished there is something that needs to be looked at. This is a candidate who may not be traditional. They may not be the seasoned hand that people are looking for, but why not? She managed to get incredible numbers amongst white voters, galvanize different kinds of people. I think the most important thing for Democrats to think about heading into 2020, because I don't think anyone should be the sort of prearranged, preordained coronation kind of person, is the more people you have running, the better, because you dominate the news cycle. I want there to be 15, 20 Democrats. I want them to be fighting. I want this to be Hunger Games for weeks.
You're going to probably get 20, 30.
Exactly. That's the hope. And that list should include Terry McAuliffe. That should include Stacey Abrams. That should include some names that aren't on that list yet. So we can't just get so excited about Beto or Biden or Gillum or Gillibrand. We got to make sure that we're looking at people who also accomplish things that may have been overlooked overlooked, but still make them viable candidates.
But, you know, I have a little bit of a different take, and I rarely disagree with my friend Jason Johnson. You know, it's probably bad for my Twitter to disagree with Jason Johnson. But, I mean, I look at a poll that says the Democrats, when they're asked, what's the most important thing to you? Beat Trump or that the person shares your values, right? So 54% in this same poll say that the most important thing is that the winner of the Iowa Democratic caucus be a candidate for president with a strong chance to beat Trump. It's what people care about. Beat Trump. That's it. Rather than, you know, shares my values on major issues, right?
Right.
What people are looking for is something existential about that says, I can beat Trump. And to me, the first step in being able to do that is being able to win 2 of these first 4 contests, being able to win 2 of 4, Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, right? Or at least win 1 of those first 3. Right. And so when I look at all this 20-some-odd candidates, I don't see 18 of them who fit that bill, who could do that. Beto has the advantage of being somebody that could, I mean, and including South Carolina, it's 4. Right. He seems like somebody who could win 2 of the 4. Isn't that important to winnow that out early?
I do think it's important, Joy, but here's the problem. You always fail. The out party always fails when the most important thing is beating the incumbent. That's how you get Mitt Romney. That's how you get John Kerry, okay? Because you don't vote for the person you're passionate about. You vote for the person that you think your conservative brother-in-law in Michigan will vote for. That's how you lose, right? So the Democrats need to think less about somebody who can beat Trump. Trump may beat himself, right? They need to think about somebody who will actually inspire them and be passionate. And I say this all the time. It's very important to understand this distinction. There's a difference between being a viable candidate, which means you can win your party's nomination, and being an electable candidate, which means you can actually beat the incumbent, right? I think Beto right now is an electable candidate. If he somehow won the nomination, I think he could beat Donald Trump. I don't know if I think he's viable yet, and that's what people need to understand. If he doesn't have the groundwork, if he can't put together a more effective campaign, he's not going to be a
Trump. In your view, is there a front runner? Should there be a front runner at this point?
I don't think there's a front runner, and I want to make a case for pundit humility at this stage and for consumer caution.
Yeah, pundit
exactly.
humility? What?
Well, I mean, just think about it. You just showed those numbers from a few years ago. I looked up today. At this moment in the 2016 race, CNN had a national poll. First, Jeb Bush. Second, Chris Christie. Third, Ben Carson. Fourth, Mike Huckabee. Donald Trump was nowhere. Just on this show a couple weeks ago, I said I didn't think Beto was going to run. Well, guess what? A few weeks later, I think Beto wants to run. Yeah. And we're going to have to change our minds. I think there are 3 dynamics here, and you've already kind of underscored 2 of them. One is ideology versus who can win. I agree with Jason that there is a limit on our capacity to know for certain who can win, but that will affect how people think about this race. And so some Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders people might say, well, maybe I should look at Beto or someone else if I think they have a better shot at winning. After Trump, winning matters to Democrats. Second, new and exciting versus known and experienced. Again, Beto, also Kamala Harris, also Cory Booker, a lot of other people on the new side versus Bernie or Elizabeth Warren or Biden. And lastly, I think Democrats in Iowa and New Hampshire are like party bosses. They think really hard about strategic questions. And I think the big strategic question, and this goes to Jason's point on Stacey Abrams, is do you primarily think about winning back the Midwest, in which case people like Sherrod Brown or Amy Klobuchar really rise, or do you think about breaking through in the Sun Belt? And that's Beto, it's Abrams, it's a lot of other candidates, maybe Kamala Harris. I think those are the forces Democrats, those are the thoughts in Democrats' heads right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we're going to keep this going because we love this. And by the way, our Facebook group loves it even more. It's what they want to talk about literally every time we do a Facebook Live. So we're doing it one more block when we come back. The panel's sticking with us, and we're going to continue the 2020 conversation.